I'm actually going to go ahead and start now. We're 5 minutes past the hour. Yeah, let's get started. So, welcome to the inaugural Schools 2030 virtual forum. So, this is the first of 5 deep dive campaigns that we will be hosting this year under the banner of the Schools 2030 virtual forum. Every 2 months or so, we will be exploring different critical topics affecting education across the globe and bringing the insights of the past 5 years of this program together as we accelerate towards 2030. The theme of this first campaign is Resilient Schools, Resilient Communities, Exploring Education and Wellbeing in Challenging Contexts, a topic which I think we can all agree is crucial in these times of uncertainty and change. We hope many of you have engaged with the different content we have been putting out over the past week on our website and social media channels. This has been a wonderful moment to hear from the voices of so many of our community on how they think resilience and well-being can be supported through schools and through the work that we do as development organizations working in education. We've also published thought pieces from our leadership, insights into our social emotional assessment tools, and the stories and insights from our network of teachers, teams, and partners from around the world. Please do visit schools2030.org or follow us on social media. Our team will share the links in the chat to learn more. Today is our opportunity to connect in real time as a global network and movement. It is so exciting to be together again as the Schools 2030 community and to welcome many participants who have not been able to join us for in-person global forums in the past year. So for those of you who are less familiar with the Schools 2030 Global Forums, it's important to understand that these events, which have been held annually since 2022, are an opportunity to hear directly from teachers about classroom level innovations, evidence, and expertise. Global forums are also an opportunity to connect the classroom level to the systems level through direct engagement of our education stakeholders. Now, while we cannot be together in person for this event, this spirit of broad sector engagement is still with us today. We are very privileged today to be able to hear from 3 teachers who have direct experience with supporting students during times of crisis and uncertainty. These teachers will speak about how they have worked to ensure that student well-being and learning remains at the heart of their teaching, even in the most challenging contexts. After the teachers present, we will open for 15 minutes of Q&A, so you can pose any questions you may have to them. We will then hear from our speakers, followed by discussion and commentary. So there will be an opportunity for us to engage on the critical topic of educational resilience. We have the agenda up here, so you can take a look at it. Now, before we turn to our teachers, I just want to go through a few notes of housekeeping. Firstly, we have some different functions that you can use to engage today, including the chat function. So please do introduce yourself, let us know where you are dialing in from, and hey, let's throw in some emojis to show us how you're feeling today as well. We also have a Q&A function, so if you have any questions directly for our teachers or their country representatives or our speakers, please put them in the Q&A section. Finally, we are trying out something new today, that is the auto translation subtitling facility that Zoom allows. Unfortunately, not all languages are supported, and for those that are, we can't actually guarantee that this will be 100% accurate, but hopefully it'll enable us to make our conversations even more accessible. So if you need to turn on captions, there is a function to do that. It should say show captions with that CC icon on it. So do that at the bottom of your screen now. So with that, it is time to hear from our 3 teachers themselves. And interesting fact, they all are mathematics teachers. Now, we have pre-recorded the teachers' presentations as they all work in areas where internet connectivity is very unstable. Yes, even still in 2026. So having them present live is unfortunately not possible. However, they will be trying to join the Q&A. I know that we have one of the teachers from Afghanistan here. We also have our AKF colleagues who work with these teachers in this session today to help answer any questions in case the teachers are unable to connect or their audio is not coming through. So the first teacher we will hear from is Shukriya Akbari, a teacher at Hazrat Zaid Girls High School in Baghlan province, Afghanistan. So Afghanistan, like many fragile contexts, has navigated a series of profound and overlapping challenges in recent years, as you all know. Among them, restrictions on girls' access to education, political and economic uncertainty, and in Baghlan specifically, devastating floods in 2024 and 2025 that damaged and destroyed school infrastructure. Against this backdrop, Ms. Akbari will share her experience on the ground, the realities she has witnessed in her classroom, and the ways she has worked to sustain student well-being and learning in the face of these difficulties. So let's take a listen to her.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. شکریه اکبری هستم. یک تن از معلمین لیسه نسوان حضرت زید شهر پلخبری ولایت بغلان افغانستان که این مکتب در سال 1360 تأسیس گردیده و همچنان دارای 1695 شاگرد دختر و 95 معلم زن می بود. همچنان در سال 2025 لیسه نسوان حضرت زید در شهر پلخمری باعث یک مرکز مهم آموزشی ایفای نقش نمود، چون این ولایت یک ولایت مرکزی بوده و یکی از مقاصد اصلی عودت کنندگان و بیجا شدگان داخلی تبدیل شده است. بانی می کند. مکتب حضرت زید ده ها تن از این اطفال را در صفوف ابتدایی خود شامل ساخته است و همچنان بعد از پس از سیلاب‌های ویرانگری که در ولایت بغلان در سال 2024 و اوایل 2025 صورت گرفت، بسیاری از مکاتب در داخل ولایت و ولسوالی‌های ولایت تخریب گردید و یگانه مکتب مرکز آموزشی لیسه نسوان حضرت زید بود که تعدادی از بیجا شدگان که جای مسکون به خاطر درس نداشتند، اونا را در خود مکتب جابجا یعنی شامل ساخت و پروسه تدریس برازیا ادامه داد. روابطم که یک روز معمولی برای شاگردان ما روزی بود که تدریس یعنی شیوه تدریس سنتی و معلم محور بود. نمیتونست شاگردا درس به صورت درست بیاموزند و همچنان استاد نمیتونست استفاده محدود از منابع مواد آموزشی در دسترس استاد قرار داشت. یعنی استاد نمیتونست از مواد منابع آموزشی به صورت درست مطابق به درس استفاده کنه و درس مطابق به اونمو مواد اجرا نماید و همچنان استفاده محدود از داخل بودن علاقه پایین شاگردان بود که شاگردای ما در درس‌ها علاقه‌مند نبودند و با شوق و علاقه به فعالیت‌ها اشتراک نمی‌کردند. بله، ما با چنین لحظه برخورد نمودیم، یعنی لحظه‌ای که مرا وادار به تغییر در روند تدریس کرد زمانی بود که من به این فکر کردم که بعد از انجام ارزیابی ابتدایی که من زمانی که من درس میدادم بعد از درس یک ارزیابی از شاگردای خود می نمودم. در این ارزیابی من پیدا کردم که شاگردای من به صورت درست درس را نمی آموزند و چیز مهم دیگه که تمرکز ناکافی بر تاب آوری و تابری به سلامت روانی بود که اینا تمرکز کافی بر تاباوری نداشتن. یعنی زمانی که یک سوال برای شاگرد داده میشد اونا نمیتونستن که سوال رو چی کنن، حل کنن یا درک کنن و همچنان چون به خاطر که روانن شاگردا تحت فشار روانی قرار داشتن. این که چشمه خورد یک اسم بوده که معنای از آغاز کوچک اما زنده، آرام اما پیوسته معنا میدهد و چشمه خورد تنها در این تاکید میکنه که در این روش شاگرد تنها شنونده نبوده بلکه شاگرد خود کار کند، عمل کند و فکر کند، بسازد یا تجربه نماید. بله. بعد از اجرای نوآوری فعالیت‌هایی را که ما در صنف‌های خود انجام می‌دادیم البته در سه مضمون بود که مضمون دری، مضمون ریاضی و مضمون ساینس بود. یعنی در داخل صنف یک بازاری را تشکیل می‌دادیم که بعضی از شاگردان را به دو گروه تقسیم می‌کردیم. یک گروه به حیث فروشنده و یک گروه به حیث خریدار یا مشتری بودند که در اینجا ما این فعالیت هم در عملی جمع، در عملی منف، ضرب و تقسیم اینمی فعالیت کار کردیم و این فعالیت بسیار مفید برای شاگردان تمام شد. و همچنان یک فعالیت در مضمون ساینس داشتیم که این فعالیت ما به نام تغییرات اقلیمی بود که در این فعالیت شاگردان از مواد بازیافتی یعنی مواد دست دو، موادایی که استفاده شده و دوباره یعنی او طرف انداخته شده، از او بوتل هایی که در خانه بود یعنی کار نمی آمد و بوتل ها را آوردن و در داخلی بوتل ها ما خاک ها را جابجا ساختیم و در هر بوتل یعنی یک تخم یا یک گیاهی را در او چی کردیم بس کردیم که در اینجا هم کار شد که شاگردا یک تغییرات یعنی مانع از این آلودگی هوا و پاکی شهر میگردد و همچنان یعنی محیط یا مکتب میگردد و همچنان پروسه رشد گیاه، کشت گیاه و همچنان که یک گیاه به چی چیزها ضرورت داره که ما یک باغچه داشتیم در گوشه از مکتب خود آماده ساخته بودیم. همچنان که تمام اینمی کردهایی که به حساب آمیانه ما میگیم کردهای باغچه از توسط اشکال هندسی بود که یعنی یکی از این شکل دایره را داشت، شکل مثلث داشت و همچنان در هر کرد تخم‌های را بذر کردیم که پروسه رشد گیاه، کشت گیاه و این که یک گیاه به آفتاب ضرورت داره، به آب ضرورت داره و به خاک ضرورت داره بر شاگردان عملا این چی کردیم نشان دادیم و تعامل میان خودشان نیز مثبت گردید که در اینجا اعتماد به نفس تقویت شد. یعنی شاگردای ما پیشرفت در عملکرد داشتن و همچنان شاگردای ما انگیزه و علاقه یا افزایش یافت و همچنان همکاری در مابین خود از یا بهبود یافت. نظر به اعتماد سوال هشتم و جوابی که در جدا بگویم یا کلش یک جای بگویم و همچنان نظر به سوال
که من ترجمه کرده بودم.
درست استاد. فقط تغییراتی که در شاگردای ما به وجود آمد اولین تغییرات اعتماد به نفس از یا تقویت شد. یعنی قسمی شد که شاگردان زمانی که یک هیئت یا مدیر از یا سوال میکرد بدون ترس، بدون کدام ترس و هراس یا پاسخ میدادند به صورت بسیار با علاقمندی پاسخ میدادند و زمانی که متدها تدریس شروع میشد شاگردان با بسیار شوق و علاقه به مکتب می آمدند. حتی یکی از شاگردای ما که ما بر شما بگویم که بسیار از جمله شاگردای منزوی بود که در اخیر سال ششتگی بود و هیچ وقتی در اساس هم نمی گرفت که اسم از او هوا بود. هوا یکی از اونمو شاگردای ما بود. حتی روز می شد که پیش از اینکه مکتب بیاید در پشت دروازه خانه ما می آمد و می گفت که استاد امروز به مکتب بیاید کدام فعالیت اجرا می کنیم و من بسیار هیجان هستم که امروز استاد ما با کدام فعالیت در صنف داخل میشه و کدام نقش بر من میده که من نمیره چی کنم اجرا کنم. در حقیقت اهمیت این شیوه این است که شیوه آموزش را از یک فعالیت انتقال دانش به یک تجربه پویا و معنیدار که با دنیای اطفال متناسب است تبدیل میکند. و بعد از این ما از اینمی تدریس خود برای معلمین صنف اول 2 و 3 خود چپترهای ساختیم از فعالیت‌ها بر از اونا توضیح کردیم که اونا بتونن در پروسه تدریس از اون چپترها چی کنن استفاده کنن و همچنان حتی به مکاتب که هم جوار با مکتب ما هستن ما چپتر فعالیت‌های خود ارسال کردیم تا اونا بتونن در پروسه تدریس از اون چی کنن استفاده کنن. میتیم. بله، من حیث یک معلم باور دارم که احساس امنیت، اعتماد به نفس و همچنان ارتباطات معاصر 3 رکن اصلی یادگیری اطفال است. زمانی که ما به اطفال یا به شاگردای خود اعتماد به نفس در و بالا میبریم یعنی رکن اول را که ما در یا بالا میبریم عبارت از اینمی اعتماد به نفس است. خیر، تشکری میکنم از اینکه برای ما چنین فرصت را مهیا ساختین و که ما چون از یک مملکت بسیار عقب مانده یعنی مثل افغانستان بر ما وقت گذاشتین که تا ما بتانیم امو چالش ها و راهکارهایی را که ما انجام دادیم با شما شریک سازیم.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's so empowering to listen to Shukriya from Afghanistan. I think what really stood out to me is how intentionally she was using the natural environment as a learning tool. By doing that, she was creating space for students to participate more actively. And it's so powerful to see how that translated into increased confidence amongst her students as well. It does make me wonder, like, what is it about that setting, perhaps the sense of freedom of being in nature that allows students to show up differently? So thank you so much. If you have any questions for Shukriya, please make sure to use the Q&A chat function to put your questions there. Next, we welcome Ashutosh Kumar, another mathematics teacher at the National Girls Higher Secondary School in Patna, Bihar, a state that, despite its rich history, continues to face significant socioeconomic challenges and some of the most pressing education gaps in India. Ashutosh will share his experience working alongside fellow teachers to support their students and the approaches they have found meaningful in building girls' confidence and engagement with challenging subject matter. So over to Ashutosh now.
मेरा नाम आशुतोष कुमार है और मैं बिहार के पटना राजधानी पटना जिले के राष्ट्रीय बालिका उच्च माध्यमिक विद्यालय दर्दनी बाग पटना 2 में गणित विषय का शिक्षक। मैं मेरे विद्यालय में कक्षा 9वीं से 12वीं तक की पढ़ाई होती है और लगभग 9वीं से 10वीं में 1000 छात्राएं हैं और 11वीं से 12वीं में भी 1000 छात्राएं हैं। प्रभाव जब बाढ़ काफी ज्यादा होता है तो बच्चों के पठन पाठन पे प्रभाव पड़ता है, क्योंकि विद्यालय हमारा लो लैंड में है तो उस दौरान बच्चों की पढ़ाई बाधित होती है। लेकिन ऐसे आमतौर पे गर्मी वजह से बच्चों की पढ़ाई, कई बच्चे और उनका परिवार जो है वो गरीबी के कारण बहुत तरह का संघर्षों का सामना करता है और जिसका प्रभाव उनके बच्चों के पठन पाठन पर भी पड़ता है और एक प्रतिकूल प्रभाव पड़ता है। शिक्षक के रूप में हम लोग नहीं दूर कर सकते हैं किसी के संघर्ष को, लेकिन हम लोग अपने विचारों के द्वारा बच्चों में आत्म चेतना, आत्मशक्ति, आत्मबल और के लिए प्रेरित करते हैं ताकि बच्चे संघर्ष के पथ को स्वीकार करते हुए अपना जीवन बहुत उज्जवल बना। लड़कियों के मामले में कि नकारात्मक प्रभाव यह है कि कई बार उनकी कम उम्र में शादी कर दी जाती है और इस तरह उनकी पढ़ाई छूट जाती है। हम लोग शिक्षक होने के नाते अपने विद्यालय में पीटीएम के दौरान बच्चों के गार्जियन को, उनके माता पिता को ये समझाने का प्रयास करते हैं कि बच्चों की पढ़ाई पूरी होने दें तभी उनकी शुरुआत करें। मुख्य चुनौतियां हैं, उनमें से सबसे महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि मेरे नजर में जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है कि छात्राओं का जो बेस है, जो एक लर्निंग लेवल होना चाहिए, वो छात्राओं का नहीं रहता है। कारण यह है कि बच्चे जिन प्राथमिक या प्रारंभिक विद्यालयों से पढ़ के आते हैं वहां से कुछ पठन पाठन या उनके जो दैनिक संघर्षों के कारण उनका जो पठन पाठन प्रभावित होता है, उससे परिणाम स्वरूप बच्चे का बेस कमजोर रहता है। जिस हर सब्जेक्ट के टीचर के साथ, अपने प्रिंसिपल के साथ बैठक करते हैं और लगभग हिंदी, अंग्रेजी, गणित, विज्ञान जैसे विषयों के लिए अक्षर ज्ञान, अंक ज्ञान से लेकर प्रारंभिक पढ़ाई को ही करीब करीब पिछली कक्षाओं का पुनरीक्षण लगभग 1 माह करते हैं ताकि बच्चे की पिछली कक्षाओं का जो महत्वपूर्ण चीज है, जो उनके छूट रहे थे अथवा वो नहीं पढ़ पाए या नहीं समझ पाए थे, उनकी पुनरावृत्ति हो सके। इन सभी चुनौतियों को देखते हुए जब मैंने इस स्थिति को स्कूल्स 2030 कार्यक्रम से जोड़ा और ह्यूमन सेक्टर डिजाइन के अंतर्गत डिजाइन थिंकिंग अप्रोच को समझने और अपनाने का अवसर मिला, तो मुझे समस्याओं की गहराई तक जाने का मौका मिला। इस प्रक्रिया के माध्यम से मैं यह समझ पाया कि वास्तव में बच्चों की आवश्यकताएं क्या हैं, उन्हें सीखने में किन कठिनाइयों का सामना करना पड़ता है और उनकी वास्तविक जरूरतें क्या हैं। इस समझ ने मुझे केवल यह सोचने के लिए प्रेरित किया कि ऐसा कौन सा विचार या पहल शुरू की जाए जिससे बच्चों के सीखने में वास्तविक मदद मिल सके। इसी समझ में चिंतन के आधार पर मैंने एक नया और सकारात्मक विचार विकसित किया जिसका नाम गणित संवाद क्लब रखा गया। शिक्षक के रूप में मैंने यह महसूस किया कि कई बच्चे कम उपस्थिति, पढ़ाई में पिछड़ जाने या आत्मविश्वास से कक्षा में सहज महसूस नहीं करते और सवाल पूछने से भी हिचकते हैं। इसलिए ऐसा वातावरण बनाने की आवश्यकता है महसूस हुई जहां बच्चे खुलकर सीख सकते हैं और एक दूसरे की मदद कर सकते हैं। इसी उद्देश्य से गणित शुरुआत की गई। यह बच्चों का ऐसा समूह है जहां बच्चे मिलकर सीखते हैं, चर्चा करते हैं और आप अपने साथियों की मदद करते हैं। तो इसे यथार्थ धरातल पर उतारने के लिए हम लोगों ने सबसे पहले अपने विद्यालय के गणित में रुचि रखने वाले 15 से 20 बच्चों का चयन किया और एक ग्रुप बनाया, और उन बच्चों के माध्यम से प्रायः गणित में ज्यादातर बच्चे अपने आप को असहज महसूस करते हैं और अपने शिक्षक से प्रश्न पूछने में भी असहज महसूस करते हैं, और कुछ बच्चे जिनकी गणित में रुचि होती है, उनका गणित भी अच्छा होता है, वो बेझिझक शिक्षक से प्रश्न भी पूछते हैं। इसी सोच के तहत जहां पर बच्चे असहज महसूस करते हैं, उन बच्चों को, जो बच्चे गणित में समाज क्लब के जो सदस्य हैं, जो मॉनिटर की भूमिका में है, वो अपने अन्य दोस्तों के साथ, अपने अन्य बच्चों के साथ पीयर लर्निंग करते हैं, ताकि जो बच्चे शिक्षक से पूछने में संकोच कर पा रहे हैं, वो अपने दोस्त के साथ, अपने मित्र के साथ पूछकर अपनी समस्याओं को हल कर लेते हैं। इससे उनमें भी गणित के प्रति रुझान भी बढ़ रहा है और उनका ज्ञान भी बढ़ रहा है, और इसी प्रकार से गणित संवाद क्लब अपने जो लक्ष्य और उद्देश्य है उसको निरंतर प्राप्त कर रहा है। बहुत सारे बच्चे इससे काफी प्रभावित हुए, उनका गणित के प्रति रुझान बढ़ा। गणित में क्लास में जहाँ 8-10 बच्चे ही सक्रिय रूप से सहभागी रहते थे, वहाँ बच्चों का कम से कम 60 में 30-35 बच्चे सक्रिय रूप से भागीदारी सुनिश्चित करने लगे। हम लोग का भी इसमें आत्मविश्वास बढ़ा। उदाहरण के तौर पे एक सृष्टि नाम की छात्रा थी, जो कक्षा 10वीं F की छात्रा है। उसका गणित काफी कमजोर था। फिर 10वीं कक्षा में आई, गणित संवाद क्लब में से जब उसको रूबरू हुई तो देखी कि यहाँ और भी अन्य जो बच्चे हैं, जो गणित में के प्रति जिनका रुझान ज्यादा है, उन बच्चों के संपर्क में आकर उसकी भी रुचि बढ़ी। और कुछ, जैसे एक टॉपिक का नाम ले लेता हूँ, 2-4 बड़े ठीक से निकल, बीजगणित का है, एक चैप्टर है जो बच्चों को आमतौर पर कठिन लगता है। इस चैप्टर्स में लगभग बच्चे जो कि गणित संवाद क्लब से जब नहीं जुड़े हुए थे, तो उनका गणित के प्रति रुझान और गणित में जो मूल्यांकन में उनका अंक आया करता था टर्मिनल एग्जाम्स में या फाइनल एग्जाम्स में, वो काफी कम हुआ करते थे। लेकिन गणित संवाद क्लब जब सक्रिय रूप से हमारे यहाँ संचालित होने लगा, तो हमने देखा कि उन्हीं बच्चों का जिनका प्राप्तांक अपने परीक्षाओं में काफी कम रहता था, वह कुछ बढ़ने लगा। हम लोग का भी मनोबल इससे बढ़ा। हम लोग और गणित संवाद क्लब को प्रभावी बनाने के लिए परियोजना तैयार करने लगे। तो मेरा ध्यान उन बच्चों पर ज्यादा रहता है जो बच्चे या तो कम प्रश्न सवाल करते हैं, या पीछे की पंक्तियों में बैठते हैं, या पठन पाठन दौरान ऐसा लगता है कि उनकी सहभागिता गणित के डर की वजह से या किसी और वजह से कम है। तो उन बच्चों के प्रति मैं ज्यादा सजग रहता हूँ और ज्यादा फ्रेंडली होना महसूस करता हूँ, ताकि बच्चे, तो हम लोगों को एक परेशानी होती थी कि हम लोग कितना भी प्रयास करते थे, बच्चे उतना अच्छा नहीं कर पाते थे। मानव केंद्रित डिजाइन के अंतर्गत जो एक नवाचार गणित संवाद क्लब आया, इससे जब हमारे और हमारे जैसे अन्य विद्यालयों में जब ये सुचारू रूप से संचालित हो रहा है, तो हम ऐसा महसूस कर रहे हैं कि पहले बच्चों की रुचि बढ़ी है। जो बच्चे असहज महसूस करते थे कक्षाओं में, वो भी काफी सहज महसूस कर रहे हैं। तो गणित संवाद क्लब रूपी जो एक नवाचार आया है, हम लोग के विद्यालय शिक्षा में एक क्रांति के रूप में है, और हम लोग को ऐसी उम्मीद है कि हम लोग इस गणित संवाद क्लब के सहारे, इस नए नवाचार के सहारे नई ऊंचाइयों को प्राप्त करेंगे, और एक मील का पत्थर यह साबित हो रहा है संवाद क्लब।
Thank you. I think for me, just listening to that took me back to my childhood, how I would have really appreciated that level of support. This challenge of having students entering secondary school without foundational skills is a very real challenge that we feel across many of our geographies. And that math dialogue club feels like it's more than academic support. It helps students like rebuild their relationship with learning and improve the relationship they have with each other. And I think that link between confidence and competence is really powerful. So again, if you have any questions for Ashutosh in the Q&A, please. So our final teacher is Josephine. She's a primary school teacher in Arua in Uganda's West Nile region, an area that hosts one of the largest displaced populations in that country. So as Josephine will share, many of her students have experienced family separation, making the support of student well-being every bit as central to her work as learning itself. So we will be hearing from Josephine in audio format only today, as the connectivity in Arua it just wasn't possible for her to do a video recording. But I think you'll find that the warmth and power of her story will come through with great clarity. So over to Josephine.
My name is Chandiru Josephine. I am a teacher by profession, and I'm teaching in a primary school, which is found in Uganda, in a district called Arua. The school is called Mvara Junior Primary School. When you come to our school, you'll find that there are very few children who stay with their biological parents. The majority are people just stay with their guardians. It makes at times life very difficult for some of them, but through guidance and counseling, we try to bring them on board and talk to them. When we came up with this innovation, children used to run away from long division. That's why we said now, in order to bring children on board, we have to do some innovation in numeracy so that children start loving the subject. And as I talk now, that set is in, I think, P6 or P7. And they love mathematics. At least they don't run away from it any longer. We put it in a way that children could play around with the numbers. We used materials that are within our reach. The children were the ones who collected the materials. We used bottle tops. We used boxes. We used glue. We used a number of materials. So when it came to building up the teaching learning material, we used the children. So which means the children were totally involved in making the learning materials. Children tend to overlook these learning materials. There are times in classes, you put these teaching learning aids on the walls or in the corner, they tend to tear them and destroy them. So in order to make sure that the children are protective, you involve them so that they know how hard it is to make those materials. So we involve them fully in making the materials. So we had bottle tops, we put them on a cardboard with the numbers written on them. Then we cut off, actually the bottle top alone was not able to work properly. So you use a plastic bottle, you glue it to a box, and then the bottle tops will have numbers. So if you want to do that long division, which means the bottle tops will be interchangeable, you can change them to any number, which would be a game for the children. They would remove it and put it back. They remove it and they can bring another number and put it, and they write the answers there. It was just like a game. So now, after they started using that innovation, when you would choose a child to come and do long division on the chalkboard, which they used to fear, they had that confidence in coming. Even if they fail, they would try again and again, and till they get the right number, the right answer to the long division. Then what I didn't mention was we didn't only use that system, that method. We used the sticks where we showed that multiplication is related to division. So if they know multiplication and if they know division, if they know one side, they will be able to do the other side very well. So they should know both sides. We also used the paper. We put paper in water, mixed it with the glue and rolled them to small, small balls where they could play around with it and divide it into the bottles and see how division works. It was practical teaching now, and they were handling everything. You know, children love touching. So they were touching whatever they were doing, and seeing, and they were interacting with their friends. Unlike when you are teaching on the chalkboard and the teacher is talking, you answer our children, you ask children answers, some are not able to answer because they were not interacting. So this part was very interactive. It helps them so much in that the child will have, the children, even that set has self-esteem. And even in the class, their grades go higher. Where they were doing poorly, they get better marks. Even this set is a set that comes to the teacher. When they don't understand anything, they come to their teacher and asks, even in the class. That year where before the innovation, we used to teach, but when you ask, is there any question? I think even we teachers were making mistakes by asking, is there any question? But in the class, there was no child. The child pretends, even the one who has not understood pretends that he or she has understood everything. Then when you give an exercise, that's when you will discover that there are many children who have not understood what you taught. But this innovation has helped them real. So when you give them an exercise on the chalkboard, they really do it very well. And when they don't understand something, as they are doing the exercise practically, they'll put up their hands. So this innovation has made the children to be active. They have self-esteem. It has also helped, it has helped the teachers to get other innovations, like the number line, the addition and subtraction, their relationship, the sets, all those mathematical aspects where children can use the bottle tops and the sticks and the stones. So teachers are still continuing with it. As teachers, it has really opened our minds. Some of these things we used to sit on them, we used even not to know that such a thing can help a child in the class. So it has really helped us, and I thank you so much.
Thank you. I love that story of how these children are running away from doing math, and now just by making it into a game, making learning into a game using low-cost familiar materials gets them to want to participate and build that confidence in learning. I love it. I think you were like, we can't see her, but I can definitely feel her actions and everything. And great thing is I believe all the three teachers are with us right now. So if their connection allows them, they can unmute themselves for some of the questions. So all of you have opportunities to ask questions. We will have also our AKF colleagues who are here. So if for some reason the teachers themselves from Baglan, Bihar, and Arua cannot unmute themselves, that's fine. Our colleagues can jump in. So I've got some questions here. I'm going to start to pick out on some of these and ask the teachers. And please keep putting in more and more questions as you have them. So one question I want to ask is Sugi from Pakistan, how as a teacher have you changed? And I believe that question is going through this process of developing these innovations. How as a teacher have you changed? Who would like to answer that question? Josephine or Ashutosh or Shukriya? If you cannot unmute yourself, don't worry. We've got our colleagues maybe. If any of our colleagues could jump in and let us know how you feel the teacher has mentioned that they have changed from this process.
Hi, Akila. Oh, go ahead, please. Thank you, Najib. So I'll be very quick. So hi everyone, I am Trishla and I'm from AKF India, and looking after Schools 2030 program running in Bihar and in India. So yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I won't say that teacher has been changed completely, but we are in the process. One thing which our teachers has shared that, and I remember also from our previous global forum, that one thing which has stayed with them, which has increased, in fact, was confidence level among them. Earlier, they used to get a training, but they didn't have that courage or confidence to execute some of the pedagogies and the training in their classroom. Somewhere they were a little bit hesitant, but I think on the confidence level they have gained a lot. Now they know how they have to implement some of the strategies in the classroom. They know what are the actual problems, and as they know they have those problems, they now have that confidence to implement some of the solutions and in the classroom. In fact, in this particular video which Ashutosh sir where he was speaking, he clearly mentioned that it has impacted on his confidence level as well, and now he's more motivated and confident in taking classes, especially with the student who have fear of maths and who feel shy, and they don't and the one who don't want to come in the maths class. So yeah, at the confidence level and at the motivation level, our processes, Schools 2030 program processes, and especially the HCD processes, helped him in achieving the goals. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Trishala. Najib, would you like to come in as well?
Yes, thank you, Akila, and hi everyone. I would like to point out one thing. As Shukriya mentioned during her presentation, when she was teaching students, the students seems to attend the classes regularly, but based on the observation and learning assessments she conducted in the classroom, she found that the students do not exactly learn the concept of the lessons. That is something she presented in her presentation. So this is if because our teachers cannot speak English. So if you want to directly ask from the students, it is needed that we translate for the teachers and hear from the teacher thought what is he or she thinking. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So let's move on to a different question. Who chose the innovation for each of the schools, and how were the teachers helped to put them into practice? So who chose the innovation for each of the schools, and how were the teachers helped to put them into practice? I'm wondering if Ru, are you there online, or Ellie, could one of you answer that question for our teacher, Josephine?
Hello, thank you so much, Akila, and thank you to our 3 teachers. We celebrate your great achievement. Aware of the HCD process that requires a teacher to understand the context in which he or she is operating and being able to know the problem that the key stakeholder, in this case is the learner, is facing. These innovations were developed by the teachers based on the problems they diagnosed in their classroom or in their schools. Especially I could talk about Joseph and their team. They looked at what their children were struggling with. The participation of children in mathematics was a problem, given the background of these children, not supported fully from home. The teachers of maths themselves not being friendly. So the relationship between the teacher and the child was not that even promote mathematical learning and interaction. So it is from the assessment that the teachers went through based on the HCD process that they're able to understand the problem and then develop the solution. I remember the solution has to be tested with the learner as well. So that was a progressive process of developing from one thing to another until they came up with the long division innovation. And the name they have used there is just basically an acronym of their own names. the Gajomas. These are the teachers just put their names together to form an acronym. I think maybe to claim for some I failed to get the right
Prize.
word, but it was developed by teachers. We just facilitated them.
Okay.
We had design experts who also gave them technical support, but the greater work was between the teacher and the learners. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. We have two questions here that are kind of similar. So I'm going to combine these two. So it was, what is the process of sharing innovations with other schools and teachers, and what challenges were there in getting the other schools to adopt and adapt the innovations? And actually, Murari Jha, that was from Sarah James. And then we have Murari also asking a similar question. How did you influence or get support from other teachers and influence their practice? So Trishala, would you like to weigh in on that one? Let me know if you'd like me to repeat the question. I can't hear you. You're on mute, sorry.
So sorry. So can you repeat the first question?
Yeah, sure.
Heard the second one, but
because I put two together. She wants to know the process of sharing innovations with other schools and other teachers, and what were the challenges in getting other schools to adopt and adapt these innovations.
So yeah, till now what we have done, we have did our HCD process with our own innovator teachers and schools. But this year we have planned to scale our processes where some of the innovation and practices can be adopted and implemented, in fact tested in some of the other geographies, and for that teachers have mapped some of the schools where they have contact, or they have their network there, and they have, or their friends working in some other school, so they have started collaborating themselves there, and they have started conversing around those innovations which can be adopted. But yes, till now we have not implemented as such activities, but it is in the plan for this year. And yes, they do connect themselves, so there are many virtual forums, many forums which works at various levels, at the state and district level, where they come together and they share their experiences, and they share their own learnings with other teachers. And we also are trying to grab some of the opportunities and share our own initiative at the district or the state level. Recently, what we have done, so at each year we celebrate Bihar Divas, which is a commemoration of Foundation Day of Bihar. And we have our innovator teacher at the pre-primary level. We have showcased some of our innovation journey at those platforms, and where all other people, be it pre-primary teachers or secondary elementary teachers, they have come up and they have understood what those teachers have done at the pre-primary level. So these are some of the opportunities which we have adopted in this year and previous year as well. We have adopted, where they have come together and they have learned those experiences. So yeah, these are some of the initiatives which we have taken in India. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sushala. I was wondering if I could call on Halima as well to provide some insight on this question of how did you get other teachers to adopt and adapt innovations? Halima, are you there?
Halima may not be able to speak unless I can find and allow her to speak. Oh yes, I think I can.
Sorry to throw that.
No problem. Halima, you should now be able to unmute yourself and answer live if you would like to.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, no worries. So some of the ways we've used in Kenya to share some of the innovations has been through packaging the innovations in kind of like guides or starter kits. What this is like a how-to brief on the innovation that's co-designed by the innovator teacher. And what this supports with is it helps any new teacher who wants to test the innovation in their classroom, find out how the original teacher designed it, what challenge were they trying to solve, how they practically implemented it in their classroom, what materials they used, and kind of gives them a start-off point on trying out the innovation in their classroom. Now, once a couple, maybe 5-6 teachers test it out using this guide, we collect their experiences as well, their feedback on how else did you use it. And it's been amazing to see an innovation that was thought to solve maybe one problem or align to maybe only numeracy has been used by other teachers in other learning areas or for other to enhance collaboration within the classroom or bring out some of the other social emotional learning experiences. And so bringing together all those experiences from the different teachers, we finally develop a starter kit that's accumulation of all these experiences within the new classroom. And so these resources shared across our networks. So just as Trishala, we also have showcase events or education convenings where any new teacher comes up, we provide either digital or physical copy of that starter kit, and they go off and try it in their classroom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Halima. So I'll have to end the Q&A for this section right here because we need to move on to our next set of speakers. But feel free to keep asking your questions in the chat function or in the Q&A because I can see we have colleagues responding in the chat function as well. So feel free to continue to engage there. Right. So now I'd like to invite Beza Tesfaye from ECW, Education Cannot Wait, to offer some reflections on the role of teachers and teaching in crisis settings. So Beza is an international development expert with 15 years of experience spanning the United Nations, Mercy Corps, and leading think tanks, where she bridges rigorous research and evaluation with high-level policy and practice on climate security, conflict prevention, and education in crisis. So Beza will offer her reflections first now, and over to you, Beza. There she is. Okay.
Hi. Thank you, Akila. I hope everyone can hear me. First of all, many thanks for inviting me to participate on behalf of Education Cannot Wait. We are a very proud partner of Aga Khan Foundation and Schools2030 and have been working together on strengthening learning assessments around social emotional learning in places like Afghanistan and Pakistan and Uganda. So really happy to be here. Just to respond to your question, I wanted to share a bit of my own personal observations from a recent mission that I took to Somalia. And I think these observations echo a lot of what the teachers have shared as well. So in February, I had the opportunity to go to Mogadishu to visit some of the programs that we support in Somalia, as well as Somaliland. And it was really a privilege to be there and to actually be able to go to some of the schools, meet with the teachers and the children and the schools that we're supporting. Some of them were very, very much located near IDP settlements. So these children, many of them had been displaced and had been probably exposed to violence and insecurity. And I think what was, for me, striking was that just first of all, being there, the classrooms are really, really full, and the children were really eager and motivated, it seemed, to be there and to be able to learn. And it was striking because at that time that we were there, the government had declared a state of emergency due to a drought that has been impacting the country with very severe impacts on food security and access to water. So for me, it was really a humbling experience being there and seeing these really wonderfully eager and curious children, and at the same time understanding the very challenging context that they're living in. So this type of, I think, experience and visit for me kind of reaffirms why education in crisis contexts is not just about access to school and academic learning. It really is also creating a place where children, we can support the wider well-being of children and give them a sense of normalcy, and give them the tools to cope with sometimes very, very challenging situations, as you would imagine in a place like Somalia, but in many of the other contexts that we work in, like Afghanistan, like Sudan, like Ukraine, like Gaza, for example. So this is one reason I think why social emotional learning is really an important part of education, because we really need to focus on the whole of child and their well-being. Another reason why it's critical is because when children are dealing with uncertainty and stress and disruption, I think Shukriya mentioned this, but when they're dealing with all of these pressures, it's really hard for them to be focused and to be able to learn. So focusing on this wider well-being and resilience is also very important in order for us to help children succeed academically. So this is another reason why we think it's critical. I think on a positive note, we know that we can actually help children in crises build resilience, and there's a growing evidence base around how we can strengthen social emotional learning and integrate it into classrooms. I won't go into the systematic reviews and evidence, but I think we know that it's there. I just wanted to touch on teachers. Of course, teachers play a really critical role in making this possible. We've heard already from what these amazing teachers are doing. And similarly, when I was in Somalia, the teachers there were not just delivering lessons, they were there providing encouragement and support for children. And again, it's really, they're the ones that are creating these environments where children have a sense of safety, normalcy, and are able to really thrive and do well in school. And I think, the more we can support teachers, invest in their capacities to really integrate and deliver social emotional learning, the more we can better support children to participate and thrive in schools. So for ECW, strengthening social emotional learning is a core priority for our programs, and we're very proud to share that in our most recent annual report, about 78% of our multi-year programs that had data showed improvements in social emotional learning. But at the same time, only about 30% of our programs had the data to report on these outcomes. So we still see room for improvement in terms of being able to integrate SEL into education responses, and also importantly, being able to measure and to demonstrate improvements in those outcomes. So as I close, I was told I could pose a question to the audience. I think today we often hear about resource constraints and capacity constraints that affect crises context, which of course is real. And as SEL is often seen, social emotional learning is often seen as an add-on, it's maybe deprioritized. I guess we'd like to challenge ourselves and ask how we can ensure that it's really integrated as a core part of teaching and learning, so that children that need it the most in these crises contexts are able to receive it. Thank you. Back to you, Akila.
Thank you so much, Beza. I mean, as a teacher, I have a lot of thoughts about why social emotional learning is not prioritized, but I'll save it and let everyone else come in. But for now, like I said, keep those questions coming for Beza as well, and any reflections you have. We're going to move on to our next speaker, Deputy Director Didar Pana. So Deputy Director Didar Pana he works within Gilgit-Baltistan School Education Department in Pakistan. He has extensive experience in school monitoring, teacher capacity building, and community engagement across the region. So he's going to offer his reflections on what the teachers presented, and also just share his reflections on the educational disruption that Gezira district has experienced and the resilience in the face of that. So over to you, Didar.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to speak about the educational activities that we did or we extended to the families who were affected due to the floods in 2025 August here in District Gazer. As my introduction has been made, and I look after around 200 schools in District Gazer, and with my team. The flood, I'll be speaking about the experience of the disaster that we experienced in District Gazer, and then I will also like to share that how did we respond to the affected families and students and teachers and schools that were damaged due to the flood. The flood of August 2025 was not just a natural disaster, actually, but a multidimensional crisis that we experienced here in District Gaza. Alongside physical destruction, it caused a large-scale educational disruption that include school closure for many days and some school for around a month or so, and severe access and infrastructure breakdown, and long-term educational disruption and psychological effect on our students, teachers, and even their parents and families. And let me give you some figure about the affected families and students. Around 300 households were affected due to the flood events in various part of District Gaza, and there are many valleys where they were affected. And among them, 200 families became homeless because of the flood. And in some of the areas, the flood that formed the artificial lakes, and many other households that they were submerged into that lake as well. And around 40 schools directly or indirectly suffered, and having around 2,000 students, they were really their learning were affected. So this was the overall scenario of this district. And now, as a responsible officials, that how did we respond to the that affected areas or the schools, was that first of all we established educational rehabilitation units that we called ERU in the district, and engaging all educational partners, including the Aga Khan Foundation and School30 team that did a wonderful job in organizing and the teacher training program on psychosocial techniques to the teachers, that they should go to the school and the families to bring them out of the trauma and the stress that they suffered because of this flood. And then we also engaged other government institutions and our partners, NGOs, and other private institutions into that educational rehabilitation unit. And together, that was a shared responsibility that we developed, and then we responded together. And we also went for fundraising program, because many of the students had to be supported, because their bags and educational materials, the books and notebooks, everything were washed out because of that devastating flood. So we also had that program, and we initially we did an assessment of the affected areas, more focusing on the schools damaged, and the children were identified, that how many children were affected because of the flood. And even we not only focus on the school children, we also focus on their families as well, that they were also suffering from the trauma and the stress. And after the assessment, we first we had we planned to develop a teacher training program, bringing some expert together from Acadian institution as well, and they developed manuals for their training program, and we planned a 4 days training program on psychosocial techniques or skills. And around 120 teachers were trained on that program, and it was very new to our teachers here in Pakistan, that the social psychosocial skills training was very new. Although we had training program on content or pedagogy or other things, but this disaster brought a new topic or new dimension of our teacher training program. That was the psychosocial techniques that we developed. And we are very grateful, and having this an opportunity, I would like to thank from the school education department to the school 30 team, that they did a really wonderful job in organizing the training program and managing the cost and the travel program or other things. And without them, we were not able to support those around 200 children and to bring them from the trauma they were suffering in. So that was really a great job they did. And even other academic institutions and the NGOs, they also did wonderful job and they supported us. So that was the experience that we had. And apart from these things, we had lots of community meetings, and we used to visit those affected areas. Not only my team, but also the other partner team that they supported us. And we also established a educational recreational program, a learning recreational centers, and LRCs that we call them, where we engage those children affected into the fun learning program. And that was a very temporary arrangement for their learning and to bring them from their stress they were suffered in. And in 8 locations, we developed learning recreational centers, providing materials to them, the story books and other things, and the teachers engage those children into a sport program and art and other things. And they were using their feelings and emotions about them while they were engaged in art work as well. And some expert we brought into those areas to help the communities to rehabilitate them from their trauma and the stress. And we also shared some of the stories from other parts of the world, from the books, that how did they came out of such difficult situations. So these were part of our training program and our education program to those affected areas. So I think I do not have much time to speak on it. So what I covered is that there was a huge disaster here in District Reser, and my team and the other partner organizations, they and as a shared responsibility, we responded very well to the post-disaster activities. And while finishing my words, I would like to share here that the most difficult thing that I personally felt is that we do not have school curriculum that could focus on the climate change or the preparation for the disaster. And I wish if we could have a curriculum developed on it, and the student should read out it, and they should be engaged in preparation of any disaster in their life to respond to them properly. So that is in my mind, and that could be my question to my colleagues here. And they can also help me out with how can we aid this topic into it, because we are living in a mountainous areas and which is always prone to the disaster. So these are the things that I had to share with you, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Didar, and thank you for sharing the very horrible experience that you had in Gizar district. I think what your example reminds us is that education is not a luxury in time of crisis. Yeah. It's essential. When everything feels uncertain, and schools then come in and they provide structure, safety, a sense of normalcy. But I also think beyond that, they offer something so powerful, a space where children, they can rebuild confidence, reconnect with others, and begin to make sense of this world around them again. So thank you so much for sharing. Our next speaker is Amina Bedzenga. She's a program coordinator at Kwale Focus Empowerment. She has over 10 years of experience in NGO and multi-stakeholder program delivery with a strong track record in community empowerment. So Amina will also offer her reflections on the role of CSOs, so civil society organizations and community-based organizations, in supporting resilient communities, including work with youth and in non-formal education. So Amina, over to you.
Thank you, Akila. Hi, everyone. My name is Amina Bedzenga. As mentioned by Akila, I work as a program coordinator at Kwale Focus CBO, which is a youth-led organization where we basically work with communities that are underserved to give them something better using innovative approaches. So in my years as a community leader and a youth leader, I feel like education, especially in some of our third world countries like Kenya, is something that is not taken lightly. It's taken, or rather say, taken for granted. For instance, like for Kwale County, like the places you've gone to, girls, especially girls and women, education for them is not a priority. So as Kwale Focus, we came in to understand that being part of a community where women are accepted, women are celebrated, given that our governor is a female, we took it upon ourselves to ensure that education is considered a priority, whether it's for the boy child or for the girl child. So as Kwale Focus, we offer mentorship programs, especially to schools that are in the interior, because I feel like our education system focuses mostly on attendance and test scores. They end up forgetting that besides this child having to attend school and also become smart in class, they also go through some things like trauma. Some of these children go through very traumatic experiences and they don't have anywhere to talk to or someone to talk to in regards to what they are going through. So we felt like through the mentorship programs at Kwale Focus, we can create safe spaces for such children to at least have a place where they can call their own and talk about the things they are going through at home or even in school, so that they're able to stay in school and also learn like the other children. Another way we've participated in ensuring that education is considered a priority is we've advocated for education, especially for the girl child. Like in one of our recent projects, which was funded by the Aga Khan Foundation under the Foundations for Learning program, we had a social behavior change and communication project where we were championing for the girl child in Lunga sub-county, where retrogressive cultures have hindered education for the girl child. Because you might find like at 10 years old, a girl is asked to stay at home, or she's married off to someone older, just so that the parents can make ends meet. Whereas as Kwale Focus, we are championing for the girl child to continue going to school. Because once you empower a girl, you empower a whole community. So part of it we use it as a way of advocating for education. And as much as advocating for education for the girl child, we also not forget the boy child. Because all in all, we still need to understand that these are still children and they need education for them to prosper in their lives. Another way of how as Kwale Focus we've championed for education is we've mobilized resources and partnerships. For instance, working with the Aga Khan Foundation and other organizations like Plan International and Coral Reef Care, we are championing for children to stay in school. So through partnerships where they fund our programs, from mentorship to finding ways to ensure that the children are retained in school, we've partnered with such organizations. Another way is through the value-based education, because we need to think about how the child will be holistically educated. So that means empowering the parents, empowering the community, and also empowering the teacher. Because the child, if you put it in a triangle or a circle, the child is the one in the middle. So in a triangle, the top part is the parents, then there's the community and also the teachers. So if you can empower the community, empower the parents, and also empower the teachers, this child will be able to grow educatively. So through that, we have been able to teach parents and also the community and also the teachers on, other than them just thinking about their scores in school or attending classes, there are qualities like empathy, there are qualities like personal responsibility, there are qualities like teamwork that if we can instill on the teachers, the parents in the community, they'll be able to support this child in getting their education. So as QualiFocus, we've come together to ensure that through education and trying to bridge the gap between making sure that despite the challenges that these children face, at the end of the day, they get an education. So as QualiFocus, we've come together to make sure that we advocate for education. So for us, it feels like at the end of the day, through our mentorship programs, we are able to support this child, whether from an early age to at least teenage age, where they're able to understand themselves. We are able to assist them through that process. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Amina. And really, I do think that the role of CSOs, local CSOs in communities is so critical to ensuring that communities continue to prioritize and make space for education and overcome those barriers. It's a very, very crucial role. Okay, so thank you to our three speakers, raising great points, interesting questions for us to consider. So now we are open for discussion. And for this section, we are actually encouraging you to come off mute and speak to us directly. So it feels like we're in this virtual room together talking. So you can do this if you could just raise your hand using the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen, and then we'll come in and we'll unmute you so you can ask your question. So let's test this out. I'd really love to hear from all of you. So start raising your hands if you have a question for us or for the speakers, for the teachers, and we'll come in, we'll unmute you, and you can ask us directly. If not, we can also go into the questions on the Q&A, but I want to give all of you a chance to please come in.
So it looks like Ellie has his hand raised. Ellie, you might be able to unmute yourself and just come in.
Yeah, thank you so much to our three speakers who have really helped us to appreciate how learning in crisis is being handled in some of the other countries. My question directly goes to Education Cannot Wait, and thank you for supporting us in Uganda. Because of the context we have, especially the refugees, we are so grateful. My appeal or question is about how do you help us to support our teachers directly in terms of developing their socio-emotional learning capacities? Because our teachers are handling huge numbers. Officially, our teacher PP ratio is 1 teacher to like 79 to 80 children. This could be an urban setting, but when you go deep down to the rural, you'll be having 1 teacher dealing with like over 120 children who are not even supported from home. We had a meeting yesterday where a student wanted to stab a teacher because the teacher was insisting on doing homework. So the children are traumatized, the children are disturbed, but the teachers don't have the capacity among themselves to handle this case. It was the teacher who handled it. So I would love a situation where we could build the capacity of our teachers to lead in social emotional learning, because as our friend from Kenya said, from the teacher it cannot go to the community, because the teacher is known as the holder of knowledge in the community. Otherwise, thank you so much. You are giving us incredible support. We are humble and grateful. Thank you. Question cannot wait.
Thank you. Beza, that question was for you. Are you able to unmute yourself and come in? Yeah.
Yes, I can. Thank you, Ellie, for that question and appeal. I think more of an important reflection than a question. I would say, I mean, it's very clear that teachers working in crisis contexts are under a lot of pressure. As you mentioned, they're supporting children to learn, but a lot of times children have experienced a lot of hardship and trauma, so they have to be able to deal with and support these needs specifically, in addition to helping children attain, the basic competencies and academic outcomes that we all expect in school. I think, as you mentioned, also there's a lack of teachers. There's not enough teachers to be able to respond to the needs in many of these countries that we work in, including Uganda and Somalia and many other places. There's just not even enough teachers in the system. And these are critical issues that we think a lot about at ECW. We are a global fund, so we work through partners on the ground. We provide grants to organizations that can actually work with communities to really support the most challenging, the communities that are experiencing the biggest challenges. In Uganda, we focus specifically on responding to the needs of refugees, for example, but I know there are needs beyond that, that you mentioned. And we do very much prioritize support for teachers. In fact, in our new strategy, which we've just finished developing and will be launched for 2027 to 2030, there's a much clearer focus on supporting the well-being of teachers, because their well-being is also critical, and also making sure they have the capacity, the training, the support they need to do their jobs. So it starts at that level in terms of strategic focus. We do prioritize teachers, and then in terms of what we fund and the support that we provide to partners on the ground. So I also just want to echo the issues that you've raised, and say that we are doing our best, and I think all partners are need to elevate this issue of supporting teachers more in crises.
Thank you so much, Beza. And I also think that so many of these innovations that teachers are creating through Schools 2030, they also address certain social emotional aspects like confidence and things and creativity. So I do think there are ways to, even in difficult circumstances, create these ways where students are not just learning the content, but they're also building those social emotional skills at the same time, as we've heard from these teachers. So I'm not seeing any hands up, so I'm going to go into some of the Q&A that we've received. So there was one really interesting question around assessment. So how are we sort of assessing these innovations and using the data from that assessment? So I'm wondering if I could call on, well, actually if I could call on Rue. I think Rue, you're there still? No? Yes, you are. Rue, was there anything you'd like to say about the assessment of the innovations? Because that came up as the question. Okay, not Rue then. Anyone else from our team or, yeah?
There is a hand up in the chat from Nuria.
Okay.
Nuria, you should be able to speak to us.
Hi.
Hi.
This is Nuria from Afghanistan, Kiev. I just have a question regarding the ECW. As you know, the ECW project is also implementing in Afghanistan. I would like to know about the strategic plan of future in Afghanistan. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Thank you. But maybe Najib, do you have anything to say around the assessment pieces? Like how do you assess the innovations and the tools that you have? Sorry to call on you.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much, Akila. Related to the innovation assessment, we have a specific tool to evaluate a specific learning innovation that we design in the government school. There are some major criteria that we assess or evaluate an innovation based on those criteria. One of those criteria is inclusion. We first assess or evaluate how the innovation will address every specific learning needs of the students in the classroom, and as well as related to the sustainability. We assess how the innovation can be replicated to or scalable to other contexts and other schools. And we have 6 core criteria that we assess the innovation based on those criteria. And when we ensure that this innovation is fit to the students' learning need, then we will implement and apply those innovation in the schools. If there are any adaptations or required based on the evaluation or assessment, we will adapt those innovation and then implement in the school. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Najib. Sarah, did you want to go ahead and unmute Mirza?
Mirza, I believe you should be
I'm on mute. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Akila. Thank you, Schools 2030 team and AKF team. I was just commenting on for all sort of innovations and for all sort of overcoming the uncertain conditions, how important it is to collaborate between the government agencies and other development partners. We witnessed it this time in Gaza when we faced a serious calamity in 14 August and 21st August, respectively, in two regions of, in two different tehsils of Ishkoman. And then we developed a DROD, District Emergency Response Unit in District Education Office, and from where all the development partners, local organizations, and the volunteers from within the community, we actually mobilized them, and we were able to start a different model of schooling that really was unique in its nature, because private schools, madrasa schools, government schools, and all the students were coming under one umbrella. The teachers were exchanged, and it was a great thing that we started, and then the normalcy started coming to these villages. So I was just thinking that for innovation, we need great deal of collaboration between the stakeholders as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mirza. That's a really good point. Innovations do take collaboration. We sometimes have to do innovations with our own community members because the barrier we're trying to overcome is coming from a certain angle. And so it does require a lot of stakeholder coordination and communication and sort of collaboration to be able to address that and develop these innovations. So thank you. I don't know if anyone else had any reflections to Mirza's comment. If not, I will, sorry, Nuria, I forgot about your comment, but that was for Beza. It was about ECW and ECW's plans in Afghanistan. Beza, what are your plans in Afghanistan? Clearly, this is a high priority.
Yes, I can just very quickly respond. I think the question was about our strategy in Afghanistan. So just to clarify, we have a global strategy, which covers a four-year period, and our current one is ending this year. So beginning in 2027, we'll have a new one. But it's not specific to Afghanistan, but I can say that we will continue to prioritize those furthest behind. So in countries where education is really under pressure, and where there are specific children that have limited access, so places like Afghanistan and other places. I think that's all I can say for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beza. And thank you so much for all the questions. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you everyone for participating and engaging in this discussion. I mean, this chat was blowing up with so many comments as well. So it was really lovely to see that. Unfortunately, it's time for us to close this session. So before I do that, I just want to have two concluding thoughts. One is we have our next campaign that will focus on accelerating results. So the assessment tools and evidence that have been at the heart of the Schools 2030 program. And I know some of you were asking us questions around the research, the evidence, the assessment. So do not forget to join that one. So that campaign will kick off at the end of April, beginning of May, with our next online forum being held at this time, same time, on Thursday, 7th May. In that forum, we're going to hear from teachers in Kyrgyzstan and Pakistan, as well as from our team in East Africa, to understand more about how evidence is gathered and used to support teaching and policy making. So our team will share the registration link in the chat right now. So please do register to engage in that conversation next time. And my final concluding thought is we would love to hear your reflections on today's session across our social media airwaves. So please share your thoughts on how we can best support the well-being of children in challenging contexts through education, so we can keep this really important conversation going. Don't forget to tag Schools 2030 and use the hashtag Resilient Schools. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you next time, 7th May. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Wonderful to hear. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Akila.
everybody.
Thank you. Well done.
Bye.
Well done. Bye-bye.